You do not need to spend thousands of dollars on a renovation. You do not need a new door, fresh siding, or a professional landscaping crew showing up with a trailer full of equipment. What you need is the right plant in the right place, and your front door can go from completely forgettable to the most beautiful entrance on the street in a single weekend. Today we are going through 7 beautiful plants that will turn your ordinary front door into an absolute showstopper. The kind of entrance that makes people slow down when they drive past. The kind that gets photographed, admired, and talked about long after the visit is over. These are not complicated ideas. They are not expensive ideas. They are strategic ideas, rooted in the same design principles that professional landscape designers use on the most stunning homes you have ever seen. And every single one of them is completely achievable for a regular person on a regular budget with a regular afternoon to spare. Before we get into the list, here is the single most important thing to understand about front door planting. The difference between an entrance that looks expensive and one that looks average has almost nothing to do with the cost of the plants. It has everything to do with the intention behind the planting. Scale, symmetry, container choice, plant selection, and the way all of those elements work together. That is what separates a front door that stops traffic from one that nobody notices. Keep that in mind as we go through today's list, because it will change the way you look at every plant idea from this point forward. Real estate professionals consistently report that strong curb appeal can add anywhere from 5 to 15% to a home's perceived value. The front door is the single most powerful element of curb appeal. It is the focal point, the destination, the exclamation mark at the end of your home's first sentence. Let's make yours extraordinary. Here are 7 beautiful plants that will do exactly that. The first plant on our list is the boxwood topiary. And if there is one plant choice that communicates luxury, sophistication, and high-end design more immediately and more powerfully than any other, this is it. A pair of perfectly shaped boxwood topiaries in beautiful, substantial containers flanking your front door is the look you see outside 5-star hotels, designer boutiques, upscale restaurants, and the most coveted homes in the most aspirational neighborhoods. And the reason you see it everywhere in those contexts is not coincidence. It works better than almost anything else at creating an entrance that feels important, considered, and genuinely impressive. The power of this look comes from several design principles working together at the same time. Symmetry is the first one. The human brain is deeply and instinctively drawn to symmetry, associating it with order, care, and quality. 2 matching topiaries on either side of a door create instant visual balance that communicates intentionality before a person has even consciously registered what they are looking at. Scale is the second principle. When the plants and their containers are appropriately sized, tall enough, full enough, substantial enough, they frame the doorway architecturally, the way stone columns frame the entrance to a grand building. They make the door feel more important, more considered, more worthy of attention. Boxwood, or Buxus sempervirens, shaped into tight globes or elegant cones, is the classic choice for good reason. It has been used in formal European gardens for centuries because it holds its sculpted shape beautifully, produces dense, fine-textured evergreen foliage, and responds perfectly to regular shearing. But boxwood is far from your only option. Bay laurel, the same herb you use in cooking, makes an extraordinarily beautiful topiary and adds the bonus of a wonderful fragrance every time someone brushes against it near the door. Eugenia is the go-to choice in warmer climates, offering equally dense evergreen foliage in a heat-tolerant package. Spiral juniper gives a more dramatic, almost theatrical sculptural effect that works brilliantly with contemporary architecture. Now here's the part that most people get wrong, and it is the part that makes the difference between a look that seems expensive and one that seems almost right but not quite. The containers. Your topiaries are only half the equation. The pots they live in need to match the quality and intention of the planting itself. A beautifully trimmed topiary in a cheap plastic nursery pot looks wrong in a way that is hard to articulate but immediately obvious. For the elevated designer look you are going for, you need containers in cast stone. High-quality fiberglass that convincingly mimics stone, glazed ceramic, or heavy powder-coated metal. The color should complement your home's exterior. Classic black, charcoal gray, crisp white, or warm terracotta all work beautifully depending on your architecture. Size matters more than most people expect. The container should be at least 1/3 the total height of the finished planting. If your topiary is 3 feet tall, your pot should be at minimum 1 foot tall, and taller is usually better. The single most common mistake people make with this look is choosing containers that are too small, which makes the whole arrangement look timid and undersized when viewed from the street. Go bigger than you think you need to. You will never regret it. Maintain your topiaries with light shearing 2 to 3 times per year to keep the shape crisp and defined. That precise, well-kept form is exactly what makes them read as expensive. An overgrown or uneven topiary sends the opposite message entirely. The second plant that will absolutely transform your front door is the olive tree. And if boxwood topiary is the timeless classic, the olive tree is the current reigning champion of high-end landscape design. In the past several years, a pair of olive trees in oversized statement planters has become the definitive front door look for luxury homes, and it shows absolutely no sign of fading because it is simply too beautiful, too versatile, and too effortlessly elegant to ever feel dated. Olive trees, Olea europea, bring a quality to a front entry that very few other plants can come close to matching. It is that combination of ancient, timeless beauty and effortless Mediterranean character. The silvery green leaves shimmer and catch the light in the slightest breeze in a way that is genuinely magical to watch. The trunks, especially on more mature specimens, develop a gnarled, characterful quality that looks like living sculpture, something that took decades to become this beautiful, because it did. And the overall form of a well-grown olive tree has that perfectly imperfect, graceful quality that looks designed but never stiff, never forced, never artificial. Against a contemporary white or gray home, olive trees in sleek black or raw concrete planters look absolutely extraordinary. The contrast between the organic, textured, ancient quality of the tree and the clean, modern lines of the architecture and container creates exactly the kind of tension that great design deliberately engineers. Against a more traditional or Mediterranean-style home, olive trees in terracotta or antique finished stone planters look like they have been there for 100 years. They belong. They complete the picture in a way that feels inevitable. For front door use, look for specimens with a clear, single trunk, what nurseries call a standard form, topped by a loose, naturally shaped canopy. Height matters for the proportional impact you are after. Trees in the 4 to 6 foot range in their container create a truly commanding presence. A matched pair is the most impactful arrangement, creating that symmetry and formality that always reads as intentional and designed. But a single exceptional specimen placed off to one side of a door can also work beautifully as a more relaxed, asymmetrical statement, depending on your architecture and personal style. Olive trees are extraordinarily drought tolerant and genuinely prefer to dry out between waterings. Overwatering is the primary mistake people make with them in containers. Give them full sun, go easy on the water, and they will reward you with years of stunning, effortless beauty. In zones 8 and above, they can live outside year-round. In cooler zones, they need to come inside or into a sheltered location for winter, which is entirely manageable given that they are in containers. The third plant on our list is one that is wildly underused in front door planting, and that is the climbing rose trained over a doorway arch. There is a particular category of front door beauty that exists entirely apart from everything else on this list. The kind created by a climbing plant framing an entrance, its stems winding up and over an arch, its flowers tumbling down on both sides of the door in waves of color and fragrance that stop every single person who approaches in their tracks. When you see a front entrance framed by a climbing rose in full bloom, you do not just notice it, you feel it. Something in you responds to it deeply, in a way that goes beyond aesthetic appreciation into something closer to longing. The reason climbing roses at the front door make a home look not just beautiful, but genuinely valuable, is that they communicate something no renovation can buy. They communicate time and love. A climbing rose that has established itself over a doorway arch did not happen in a weekend. It represents seasons of care, of training, of watching something grow into exactly the right shape. When people see it, They understand intuitively that someone loves this home, that someone has been tending it with patience and attention and genuine pride. That quality of care registers as value in a way that the most expensive front door on the market cannot replicate. For maximum impact, choose a disease-resistant variety that will give you abundant flowers without demanding constant intervention. New Dawn is one of the finest climbing roses ever developed. Vigorous, reliably beautiful, covered in soft, blush pink blooms in late spring and continuing through summer, and tough enough to handle conditions that would defeat lesser varieties. Climbing Iceberg gives you pure white flowers in extraordinary abundance on an incredibly healthy, easy plant. Don Juan delivers deep, velvety red blooms with a fragrance so rich and powerful that guests will smell it before they see it. The structure you choose for your climbing rose matters almost as much as the plant itself. A beautiful arch at the doorway in powder-coated steel, wrought iron, or painted wood is a design feature in its own right before the rose has grown an inch. Choose a structure that suits your home's architectural character and install it properly, anchored firmly into the ground or secured to the wall, because once that rose establishes and fills out, it becomes substantial, and it needs support that will not shift or sag over time. Plant your climbing rose in the richest soil you can provide. Feed it generously in spring and early summer, and train the new canes horizontally along the arch, rather than letting them grow straight up. Horizontal training encourages the plant to produce more flowering side shoots along the length of each cane, which means more blooms, more coverage, and a fuller, more spectacular display. We are just getting started. 4 more extraordinary plants are coming in part 2, including one that most people would never think to put near a front door. And one look at it will make you understand immediately why it works so brilliantly. The 4th plant on our list is one that belongs in a category of its own when it comes to sheer visual drama, and that is the agave. A large, architectural agave specimen in a beautiful concrete or stone planter placed beside your front door does something that flowering plants simply cannot do. It stops people with form alone. No blooms required, no seasonal timing to worry about, no waiting for the right moment. The agave is always exactly what it is: bold, graphic, sculptural, and utterly commanding. And that consistency is precisely what makes it so powerful as a front door statement. The design principle at work here is borrowed directly from high-end interior design, where a single, extraordinary object placed with perfect intention carries more visual weight than a dozen ordinary things arranged together. Applied to front door planting, it means choosing one truly remarkable plant and giving it the space and container it deserves to be fully appreciated. A well-chosen agave in the right pot does not look like a plant someone stuck by the door. It looks like a deliberate design decision made by someone with genuine taste and confidence. That is exactly the impression your front door should make. For contemporary, minimalist, or Southwestern-style homes, there is arguably nothing more perfect. The clean, geometric form of the agave's rosette, the sharp, dramatic points of its leaves, the way it holds its shape with absolute authority in every season and every weather condition, it is everything that great architectural planting should be. Choose a specimen that is large enough to command attention from the street. A small agave trying to make a statement just looks lost. Go big. Choose a container with real presence and place it with intention slightly to one side of the door for a sophisticated, asymmetrical effect that reads as considered and deliberate. The 5th plant that will transform your front door is the hydrangea, and specifically a hydrangea trained into a standard form, a single clear stem topped by a full, lush canopy of blooms. If the agave is pure drama and architecture, the standard hydrangea is pure romance and abundance. Those enormous flower heads, in shades ranging from the softest blush white to the deepest cobalt blue, have an almost theatrical generosity to them. They do not hint at beauty, they announce it. A pair of standard hydrangeas in beautiful glazed ceramic containers flanking your front door creates an entrance of extraordinary elegance and charm. The ball-shaped canopy of a well-grown standard mirrors the form of a classic topiary while bringing a softness and flower power that boxwood simply cannot offer. In peak bloom, the effect is genuinely breathtaking. Even out of bloom, the strong, clear stem and rounded head of foliage maintains an elegant structural quality that keeps the entry looking intentional and designed through the season. Hydrangeas perform best in morning sun with afternoon shade, making them an ideal choice for east or north-facing front doors where other sun-loving plants might struggle. Keep them consistently moist, feed them in early spring, and protect the root zone with a generous layer of mulch, and they will reward you with one of the most spectacular flowering displays any front door plant can offer. The sixth plant on our list brings fragrance into the equation, and that is something that takes a beautiful front entry and makes it genuinely unforgettable. Lavender. A generous planting of lavender in terracotta pots or woven through a low border along the front pathway does something no purely visual plant can do. It engages a completely different sense. The moment someone brushes against lavender on the way to your front door, or simply walks close enough to catch its scent on a warm afternoon, the experience of approaching your home becomes something they carry with them long after they leave. Lavender works beautifully in containers, in raised beds, or planted directly into the ground along a front pathway. It blooms in waves of purple that complement almost every exterior color palette imaginable. It attracts pollinators in abundance, which adds life and movement to your entry planting. It is drought-tolerant, long-lived, and almost effortlessly easy to maintain once established. And it brings that particular quality, sensory, emotional, memorable, that separates a front door that is merely beautiful from one that is truly extraordinary. The seventh and final plant is one that ties everything together: ornamental grasses. A bold ornamental grass like purple fountain grass or Karl Forster featherreed grass in a substantial container or anchor position in a planting bed brings movement, texture, and a naturalistic energy that no other plant provides. When the wind moves through ornamental grass, the whole entry comes alive. It catches the light differently at every hour of the day, shifting from green to gold to silver as the sun moves across the sky. Your front door is your home's first word, its opening statement, the impression that sets the tone for everything that follows. These 7 plants give you everything you need to make that statement beautiful, intentional, and completely impossible to ignore. Pick one this weekend and start there. You will be amazed at what a single right plant in the right place can do. Drop a comment below and tell us which of these 7 plants you are most excited to try. And if this video gave you even one idea that genuinely inspired you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and come back every week for more planting ideas that actually make a difference right where you live.